Good morning, guys. It's Shawn from the blog she'sinherelement.com, and we are on day 6 of our sourdough starter. Now, I am already one exhausted Nana. It is 8:30 in the morning. I have now been up for 4 hours. I've got 2 kids off to school. One's in there watching TV, and my sweetie pie is sleeping. So while they are, I need to get done what I need to get done. I also have cakes that I'm making because I have a cake due. It's never ending. Now, before we get into what we're gonna do to our sourdough starter today, I wanted to give you guys a little more information. As I told you, as I learn about the sourdough starter, I'm going to pass it all along to you. And also, if you don't grasp it all, don't worry about it. I am getting ready to release a blog post this week, and it is going to detail everything about this sourdough starter, including all the steps you need to take to do one for yourself, and that will be in a printable version on the blog. When that's ready, I will let you guys know. It'll be out this week. But for right now, there are a few things we can touch upon, and I think we should. So the first thing I want to point out is what our sourdough starter is actually doing. Now, what is happening here is the good bacteria that is forming inside of this is feeding off the carbohydrates of the flour, and that produces a lactic acid, which is actually really good for intestinal infections, keeping your gut health keeping your gut health where it should be. And gut health is something that we don't always think about, but we should, because what we put into our bodies dictates how our bodies are going to respond to it. Now, I know other people actually do the sourdough starter because they can't process grains very well. And this eliminates your body having to get through that coating on the grains to actually be able to digest them. So, based off of that, and that alone, gut health is probably the number one reason why I'm doing this. This isn't about I want to do the latest fad or I want to be a copycat. I want to do healthy things for myself and my family. And again, gut health is something that we don't always think about, and we should. It's very important. This also acts as a prebiotic for your body. A prebiotic helps feed the good bacteria that's in our intestines, which helps keep our gut health healthy. So that's what we want. And that's my reason for doing this. Now, if you have other medical reasons that you can't digest grains, or you're having issues, or you have celiac, you need to discuss things with your doctor before just switching over to something. I am not giving you any medical advice. I am not telling you what to do. I'm telling you why I'm doing my starter and what my starter is doing. There is a layer. I'm going to show it to you. I don't know if you can see it through the jar. You can. So let me get a better hold on this. So you see this layer right here? It's kind of separated, might be a little bit browner, it's water. That is called hooch. You heard that right, hooch, as in alcohol. This is an alcohol that is produced by the yeast in our starter. And when you see that, that generally means that your starter is hungry and it needs to be fed. It can also mean that you have too much liquid in your starter. And you will have to adjust the liquid depending on the type of flour that you choose to use. Now, because mine is a white all-purpose flour, I don't necessarily need an entire cup of water each time to add to it. So today, I'm actually going to add a little more flour and a little less water. That's strictly for my starter. You have to do what looks good for yours. But I'm going to show you the inside of the starter so you can see how it's separating. in here, you can see my hooch has separated. I'm gonna bring it back together. See, mine is a little watery. So based off of that, that is why I'm gonna add a little more flour and a little less water to mine today. But that's actually very normal, and it's just what happens sometimes. So no worries, when you see that, that's the hooch, and it basically means yours is hungry. Now see, now that I've stirred it, all the bubbles are starting to form again. It's incorporated. So I guess it's time for feeding. So again, I am going to start by taking half of this out. All right, for mine, I'm going to add my 1 cup of flour. Get that in there. And for me, like I said, I am just adding less filtered water because apparently I'm thinking I have a little too much water in my mixture. So let's give this a good stir. Make sure you scrape those sides good and the bottom. Nice vigorous stir going. Now see, I think that's a better consistency for my mixture. Those sides down again. Nice. And now I'm just going to put my tea towel back over it, and we're just going to let it sit. The fermenting process that this is going through releases so many vitamins and minerals. I literally had no idea. Again, this goes back to the gut health. I had no idea how good this is for our bodies. I was amazed. You might be wondering, how do I know when my starter is ready to use? Well, that's actually not as difficult as you think. It will generally take a week for a starter to be ready, but there are different factors that are going to play into that equation as well. If it's winter time and your house is on the cooler side, it can take longer than the week for it to come to its full ferment and be ready to be used. If it's summertime, your house is actually running kind of hot, it could happen in a week or just basically just under. So the best way that I have found that I am going to do based off all of my research is I'm going to go by the 1 week rule, that in 1 week this will be ready for me to use. But I'm not just going to take that as the gospel and that's the law and that's how it's going to work. I'm going to test it. Now, how do I know when my starter is ready? Well, it should smell sour, which it does, not pungent. The sour smell is mild. If you're smelling something that is strong, that you're like, whew, I don't think your starter did well, and I probably would not eat it. But that is for you to decide. I cannot smell your starter. I cannot help you there. So if it rings a red flag in your head when you sniff it or anything, just don't. It's not worth it. Start again. Once the starter is going, you're not going to discard any of it. You're going to be using it. So it's going to go down, and then you'll refeed it, and you'll use it and feed it and use it and feed it. And again, your feeding schedule will be based off of how much use your sourdough starter is going to get. Now, when I do my starter for you guys each and every day, it's 8:30 in the morning. So now that we are on day 6, we fed it And now it's gonna sit for 12 hours. It's gonna get a double feeding today and a double feeding tomorrow. And then it's going to be ready for use on Thursday, which I'm super excited for. So at 8:30 tonight, I am going to discard my mixture, refeed it, and cover it. And then I'm gonna hit it again tomorrow morning at 8:30. So day 6 and 7, day 6, we wanna feed it every 12 hours. This is the only part that changes. We've done it one feeding a day up until now, but day 6 starts our twice a day feedings. Now another cheat to tell if your starter is ready or not is to take about a tablespoon of it from your container and drop it in a jar of water. It'll float when it's ready to be used. It'll sink if it's not ready. So you always have that little thing to fall back on and try if you wanted to really make sure. And I like that. There's a few fail safes in place to test this, because you know it's like canning. You don't want to mess it up because you can really make yourself sick if you eat it after. So you have to follow the rules and the recipes, and there's reasons why everything happens. I'm learning those reasons and I'm sharing them with you. Like I said, I am doing the blog post on my sourdough starter journey, and it's going to include much more details on to the health benefits of why I'm doing it, as well as you'll have a printable, not recipe, but a printable guide to follow to start your own. So you can print it off and have it in front of you, easy peasy for references. And then eventually there will be another one that will link to some amazing recipes, things you can do immediately with your starter, and things that you have to do just a little bit of planning for. This doesn't eliminate the need for planning. It just helps it go. It's more beneficial for our bodies. It's homemade. It's scratch cooking. Like, this is it. It doesn't get better than this. Again, I'm gonna feed it at 8:30. I am not gonna bring you guys back for that feeding tonight. I'll just recap tomorrow when I do day 7 and do my morning feeding, and just remind you that I did do a feeding 12 hours after this feeding. It sounds so confusing, but it's really not. It's very simple, and the blog will lay it out so much nicer than I'm probably explaining it. I'm probably jumbling it all up and confusing you even more. And if I am so sorry. I'm learning as we go as well. So when that blog is ready, I will let you know. It's not going to go up until after the 7th day because I want to have the whole process done so I can be able to confidently write about it and show exactly what I'm talking about with it. So that's where we are. I want to thank you for stopping by my homestead. It's nice and early. I am super tired. Those cakes are calling my name. I got to get going on those. The baby's probably only got another couple of hours before she'll wake up. So that sounds like a lot, but it's really not when you're trying to run a homestead and you have children to think about. I'll be right there, sweetie. One needs me now. Again, thanks for stopping by my homestead. You might want to consider hitting that subscribe button, or even better yet, ring that bell. You can ring my bell, ring my bell. Sorry, I'm so tired right now. I'm just having fun with it. But again, hit that bell so you'll receive the notifications. I do make new videos every single week, and you don't want to miss any of them, especially if you're following along with the sourdough journey. But you never know what my videos could be about. Might be about a scratch cooking, a DIY project, or creating my handmade home one day at a time. Again, thanks so much for stopping by my homestead. I'm gonna feed this puppy in 12 hours, and I will meet you guys back here tomorrow for the start of day 7. Ooh, ooh, ooh. And it's ready. Ooh, ooh, ooh. What's she gonna make? She don't know. I need more coffee. I'll see you guys tomorrow.